Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Elma. Thank you so much for joining me for this review. I know it's been a hot minute since I did a review, but let me just say something, okay? I low-key, high-key did not want to like this product because I'm like, I don't even know why. Actually, I do know why, because Nikki Tutorials liked it. There was a whole polemic around it and I got curious, so I got it and I just tried it and I was fucking A, this thing is actually amazing. So if you want to see, you know, this versus this in action, just keep watching. So I actually have another video going on, so that's why like my eyes are kind of, but we're gonna get into skin. And like I said in the intro, we're going to be testing out the Juno & Co Microfiber Velvet Sponge and your regular schmegular Dirty Beauty Blender. So I'm going to start off by priming my face, and for that I'm going to be using the Lock-It Kat Von D Hydrating Primer. So when you get this velvet sponge, you get it in a little cute little plastic Ziploc kind of bag, and I guess it's cool for like storage and stuff like that. And in that plastic bag, so you get this little user guide. So this is really cool, but let's get right into it. So I'm gonna be using the Duo Skin Forever Everlasting Perfect Makeup Everlasting Wear, and it's in the shade 041. The last time I used this foundation was to try out the Clarisonic foundation brush. So if you want to check out that video, I'm gonna be leaving it over here so you can just check it out. So on the side where I had my piercing, I'm gonna be using the Juno sponge, and on the side where I don't have any piercing, I'm going to be using the beauty blender. My beauty blender is not clean because, you know, I use it all the time. This is actually my first time using the Juno sponge. So I got it off the website and I got the pack with 4 in it, and I don't remember how much it retailed for, but it wasn't that expensive. I want to say it came up to like 20 US, I'm not sure. I'll leave all the information below. As per usual, I'm just going to dot the foundation on my face. So first things first, I'm gonna use the beauty blender, and I really love the beauty blender. It's one of those tools that I have tried a whole bunch of other beauty sponges, and I keep on coming back to this one because it just works. Yes, it's a tad bit like expensive, and compared to the Juno, it's like way more expensive. I think it retails, I want to say for 26 Canadian dollars, but it's one of those sponges that, I don't know, it's like a staple. And I think that's why I'm even so mad at them for the foundation they brought out, because I was just like, what the frick, you know, like what the frick, guys. But so you have many versions of this sponge. I've tried the clear, like the nude one. It felt like this one, like the original pink one. I tried the pro one, and actually I prefer the pro beauty blender to the original, simply because I feel like it's a bit more long lasting, and I feel like it doesn't tear as easily, and it's also easier to wash. And when you wash it, you don't have that whole pink residue. Like even till this day, like I don't know how long I've been using this sponge, but I still get that like little pink residue when I'm like cleaning the sponge. But still one of my faves. I've tried, like I said, a bunch of other sponges, but I always come back to this one simply because it works. As simple as that. So if you've never tried the beauty blender, it's one of those things that once you try it and you use it, you understand why it's a favorite. I'm not saying it's the best out there. There are definitely other sponges and I haven't tried all of them, but it's one of those sponges that, you know, there's a reason why it's a cult favorite, okay? I don't have much coverage right now, and that's the thing with the sponge. The reason why I prefer applying makeup with sponges rather than brushes most times, it actually depends on the foundation, but it's because you really can blend it into the skin and it becomes seamless and it just blends as one. So that's one side done, and as per usual, it kind of absorbs. It's a sponge. I've wet it as much as I can wet it. But one thing I also love about the sponge, this is like when it's super damp, to use it to apply under my eye, like my powders and stuff like that, it really does make a really, like, do a really good job. So that's one side of my face done with the, actually a really good match, with the Beauty Blender. Go in with the Juno sponge. Again, I'm applying about 2 pumps. And I'm just gonna dot as per usual. And first things first is the texture of it is like velvety, because you know it's a velvet sponge. And one thing I really like about it, it's like it's angled here and angled here, so you can really get into those little nitty-gritty areas of your face. So let's start. I've already stained it a little bit, so you know, let's. Okay, for starters, I feel like it's already, like, I feel like it's more full coverage. Like, you see that? It applies it in a more full coverage way. So I'm guessing that's because it's not absorbing the product as much as the Beauty Blender is. But wow, okay. Interesting. Okay, so, do you see that? Do you see how more full coverage and... Guys, for real, this is like the first time I'm using this. I'm shook. I'm shook it. What the hell? You see that? Like, let me come up close so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. Like, so this is the side where I use the Beauty Blender, and I feel like the product really was absorbed by the sponge, so it's not as full coverage. And this is the side where I used the Juno, and look at how more full coverage it looks. This is sick. Okay, so I don't even feel like I need these 2 pumps now. Like, for real, like, I don't feel like I need these 2 pumps. Like, you know what's just because I really like this, like, little corner here just to, like, get in there. Let's try, like, on this side, just to tap that. Like, you see that? It's way more full coverage on this side than it is on this side. And you can tell that the foundation, like, look at that, just kind of like chilling on the surface, opposed to the Beauty Blender where you feel like it has really sipped into the sponge. Like, clearly the Beauty Blender is way more porous I think it's the word, than the Juno sponge. Like, look at that, I got way more coverage and I still got hella product. So I'm gonna use this and apply more to this side, and I'm gonna go back in again with my Beauty Blender, apply till I get the desired coverage. This is sick. I have plus ou moins the same coverage on both sides. We're gonna go in with some concealer, and for concealer I'm gonna be using one of my favorites these days, and it's the Born This Way Multi Sculpting Concealer by Too Faced, and it's in natural beige. So we're gonna go in first on this side and just apply under the eye, and I'm just gonna go in again. One thing I love about the Beauty Blender is like the way this part is so pointed and it's like so soft that you can actually like really blend it in there. And one of my favorite way, my only way actually of applying concealer under my eyes is using a beauty sponge. I don't really like using brushes under there because I feel it's super sensitive, and contrary to what you may think, I am actually using a really light hand. I'm gonna use a little bit on the forehead over here and just blend that there. So that's the Beauty Blender side. I think I'm gonna add just a smidge more. I'm gonna blend that into, and now I'm gonna use the other side with the Juno, and I'm gonna use this corner again. Okay, I maybe should have applied less. Okay, did you see that? Let's blend this. So let's blend this bad boy in. So compared to the Beauty Blender, this is a bit stiff. Like when you're bending it, you have to apply a little bit of pressure to really get it to bend to your will, so to speak. But can you see how way more full coverage that is? Like, it's blended in as flawlessly as like the Beauty Blender, but clearly since it hasn't absorbed as much, like you're getting more out of your products by using less. Let me put it like that. Since the sponge is not absorbing everything, I'm not gonna be fooled. I'm just gonna use like a little bit. And you know what? Even though it's damp, I see how it has this sort of like brush feel, because actually what this does, I feel, is like it acts like a brush but in a sponge. Like, it's crazy. Oh my god. It has this, you know what, I was low-key regretting buying like 4-in-1 Go, because I was like, yo, Elma, if you don't like this, this is a freaking waste. But and plus, one thing as well, it was always out of stock. So once I got the email that the 4 thingy was there, I just like checked out immediately, because I was like, okay, there's a reason why this thing is out of stock. Okay, we all know Nikki talked about it, so that's probably why. But like, for reals guys, like, did you see that? Like I said, I'm sure. Okay, you know what, we're gonna, usually I blend my contour with a brush, but this time around I'm gonna blend it in with the beauty, like with these. So for contour, I'm gonna be using the Fenty Beauty matchstick in Truffle. I'm going to do this side first. Beauty sponge. I'm using the matchsticks because even though it's easy to blend, it's not the easiest to blend with a sponge. And you have like some time to work the product as well. Like, it doesn't dry so quickly that you don't have time to, you know, work the product. I'm just gonna apply a smidge more. I like to apply it like that, just like doing that. There you go. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And I'm gonna use this flat. Actually, I'm gonna use this area just here, which is just so perfect, because okay, so it's having a little bit more troubles blending out this cream product, but there is more, it has more coverage, most definitely. However, I do feel like I had a little bit more trouble blending out the product than I did with the Beauty Blender. So on the Beauty Blender side, I might need to go in a little bit more, just a little bit, because to like balance it out, because again, it's, you know, absorbing the product way more than the Juno. But seriously, like, I feel like this side of my face is way more full coverage than this side of my face. Like, I really did have, well, really, I had to put a little bit more product on this side to balance out the side with the Juno. So I'm gonna finish up my my other video where I'm doing this look, and I'll come back with my final thoughts. But so this is the side again where I used the Juno, and this is the side I used the Beauty Blender. Both look really beautiful, like up close and personal. We're talking quality skin, but most definitely less product used on this side than this. So my final thoughts on the Juno & Co Velvet Sponge versus the Beauty Blender. Honestly, wanted to try this for myself because I'm like, c'est pas possible, there's a reason why this sponge is always sold out. So got it once I could get it, and it was actually really fast when it came to like checking out and shipping and all that. You can, I think you can pay with Apple Pay, PayPal, or your credit card per usual, and I want to say it took less than 2 weeks to arrive to Canada, Montreal, Quebec. And so yeah, so it came by 4 in like a sort of like little bag. Like I said, I did not want to like it, but I actually really love it, and I'm so happy I got 4, like the pack of 4. And compared to the Beauty Sponge, it's way less expensive. My thing is, I've used the Beauty Blender for years and years and years, and I've come to realize that I actually prefer the black Beauty Blender, the Pro one, because I find that it lasts longer and it's easier to clean, and you don't have like the whole pink thing coming out after washes and washes. But one thing I love about the Beauty Blender is that it holds well. Since it absorbs a lot of product, you have to wash it regularly. I've not been really good with washing it, but ideally you want to wash your Beauty Blender at least once a week. Now, the Juno & Co sponge, I'm looking at it up close, and it looks like it's like the product is only like on the surface. Like, I don't feel like it's sipped in, like you can see that, like you can tell that it's really sipped in. So that's the first thing. And in regards to that, it changes everything about how it applies. As I was applying it, I could see what they meant by it. Like, it feels like a brush, because the brush doesn't absorb as much product as your regular Beauty Blender does. And I really love the shape of this. Like, this side and this side is, I didn't use this side as much. I thought I would, but you know, we never know. Maybe with a powder or something, I will like test it out. But yeah, and it's like this velvety texture is kind of weird. I don't know if you can hear that. Like, versus I don't know if that's picking up, but anyways, so yeah, it's a really interesting texture on its own, but I really love the application. So like you saw, this side was the side I used the Juno, and this side was the side I used the Beauty Blender. The side of the Beauty Blender, I found myself using way more product because it was absorbing versus the Juno, and I still did get that like flawless look. Like my makeup looks really good, and I love how it blended so fast. I would like to try this like with powders like they said. I didn't do it in this video because I really did want to concentrate on like liquids and all that, because I feel that's what most people use their beauty sponges for, to apply like liquid and cream products. So maybe in a future video or something I'll try it out with like dry with a powder. One thing when you get the sponge, read the instructions, follow the instructions. There's a reason you're there, and I feel that's how you get the best use out of your sponge. Don't just go in like you would go in with a beauty blender because you know, oh, it's a sponge. No, it's two different textures, completely different textures, and they work completely differently but at the same time kind of the same. I don't know if it makes sense. Either way, I was really impressed. Still love this to death. I still have my backup over there. Happy I got extra, but I feel like this is gonna be my new go-to sponge because, like I said, I use way less product, and that's how you save a product. If you're not like, you know, a beauty influencer or whatever, and you're not buying makeup right, left and center every time, and you don't have extra backup of like foundation, and you're always using the same like foundation, this is gonna be better because you're gonna end up using your foundation way longer, because you're gonna end up using way less foundation or concealer or whatever it is. The sides, really handy. One thing though is I know how this works. Like I know that long time, like this actually usually, I want to say a beauty blender usually lasts me, I want to say good 3-4 months as easily as other sponges. They last quite a while. This one, I don't know, I'll see how it goes, and I feel that I will have a truly full idea of this sponge once I've used it over a long period of time. So I want to say come back in 6 months or 3 months time, and I'll tell you how this withheld through time, because sometimes you see there are certain sponges you see like, oh, first application is really great and everything, and then you wash it and you see that it just completely disintegrates and it doesn't work well. Because it is a completely different texture and material from the Beauty Blender. The Juno & Co. Velvet Sponge is dope and I recommend it. For real, I recommend it. Still will forever love my Beauty Blender, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to more bang for your buck, this is a go-to. Anyway, I do hope that this review was helpful, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.